to participate in this important event, which is aimed at discussing a completely new scenario that we're facing in relation to India and Pakistan relations, and the role that the Indus Waters Treaty is playing in order to depict a new reality we are all standing in front of. Because the case that we are overviewing here is not connected just to the dispute, waters dispute, between Pakistan and India. As it was correctly marked by my colleagues before, it has to do with every state and every nation of the global community today. Unfortunately, we have been witnessing for the last years and decades a serious deterioration of the international relations system. And my colleagues have wonderfully described the failures that we have been observing in relation to the UN, to the international legal system, to address the burning issues of the modern days. While listening to the previous speeches, I have marked to myself a key word that I would like to carry forward. Mr. Sufi has mentioned the word faith, the lack of trust, the failures of the neighbor. And I would like to start my speech that I would like to address to the esteemed audience with the following words: faith, unity, discipline. Faith is the national motto of Pakistan, the guiding principle of Pakistani nationhood. It is derived from the principles laid down by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founding father of Pakistan. And I do believe that it's not accidental that this seminar is taking place in the Jinnah Convention Center, which has been hosting recently Islamabad peace talks that confirms and defines a special posture of Pakistan in direction of proclaiming and promoting diplomatic efforts for the global community. For 79 years since the day of liberation from the British rule and the establishment of the independent state of Pakistan in 1947, it has been falling for this vision of faith, unity and discipline, with the inner strength and courage. These principles were integrated in every drop of the Pakistani blood and its national DNA. It means that the Pakistani nationhood has succeeded to pass a historical resilience test and win a fight for sovereignty, self-identity and independence with dignity and strong vision. I have quoted these principles and placed them into a privileged position as their perfect introduction to the topic of my insight today. Indus Waters Treaty, Foundation for Peace and Security in South Asia. A foreign, legal and humanitarian perspectives. They can be flawlessly applied to every word of this title and highlight an importance of the foundation for peace and security retention in South Asia. Unfortunately, Indus waters bring different sound and meaning of these principles for India, that has unilaterally suspended the 66-year-old Indus Waters Treaty with Pakistan since last year's conflict in Pahalgam in April 2025, escalating a long-standing bilateral dispute and raising concerns over legal and humanitarian perspectives for sustaining peace and security in the South Asia. India's foreign ministry said on the 5th of June that treaty would stay suspended until Pakistan completely stops cross-border terrorism. It appears as provocative and aggressive as the statement of the India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi that blood and water cannot flow together. It is his signature policy stance, linking India's water-sharing rights with Pakistan to cross-border terrorism. It asserts that India will not continue standard diplomatic cooperation and resource sharing while enduring violent attacks. Recently, the Union Minister of Water Resources, Mr. Patil, stated that the Indian government is actively working to ensure that not a single drop of water will go to Pakistan in the coming years. This rhetoric poisons not just the sacred Indus waters, but the very ground of the international law. The Indus Waters Treaty governs the use of the rivers in the Indus Basin, which is shared by India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and China. Under the agreement, India has unrestricted access to the basin's eastern rivers, while Pakistan receives rights to the western rivers. Every 9 in every 10 Pakistanis live within the Indus Basin today. Its rivers irrigate more than 90% of the country's crops and generate most of its hydroelectric power. All 21 of Pakistan's hydroelectric plants are located within the basin, and they are load-bearing pillars of a fragile economy that is in need of being technologically boosted and secured. India doesn't even need to cut all flows to inflict damage to Pakistan. Manipulating the timing of releases from dams on the western rivers could flood Pakistani farmland during planting seasons, while withholding water during critical irrigation windows could devastate harvests. Pakistan has already written to India twice in 2025 and once in May 2026 about abnormal, abrupt flow variations of the Chenab. Therefore, an opportunity to settle the issue through dialogue and diplomacy is reducing day after day. In the short term, reduced India-Pakistan coordination on river flow data, forecasting and technical communication will likely increase uncertainty and crisis volatility without significantly limiting actual water flows. In the longer term, potential upstream infrastructure expansion and climate stress could increase structural instability and intensify crisis dynamics between the two nuclear states. In fact, India is seeking to weaponize water through infrastructure projects. And it was mentioned very correctly by my colleague that it's not a conversation about a single dam or construction. We are talking about the whole cluster of illegal constructions there, breaking the legal framework of the Indus Treaty waters. This follows remarks in April by Pakistan's Planning Minister Ahsan Iqbal that the country had only about 90 days of water storage capacity. This falls well below regional and global benchmarks, with regional economies typically maintaining more than 120 days of storage and the global benchmark standing at roughly 300 days. Cutting flows would have serious implications for Pakistan's agriculture and overall economy, but any project would take several years before it has an impact. Pakistan has previously said it would consider any attempt to change the flow of cross-border waterways as an act of war, saying that the 160 treaty remained in force as there was no mechanism to unilaterally withdraw from it. It had also urged the UN Security Council to take up the dispute over the Indus Waters Treaty, warning that India's continuous unilateral suspension of the treaty carries grave peace and security as well as humanitarian consequences for the whole South Asia. We should remember, all of us, that internationally the Indus Waters Treaty is widely celebrated and recognized as one of the most durable transboundary water sharing mechanisms in history. Brokered by the World Bank and established as a framework that successfully insulated vital resource management from broader geopolitical hostility for over 6 decades, there is a global perspective on the Indus Waters Treaty, which is defined by several key elements or pillars. First of all, this treaty should stay in consideration with a separation over integration. What does it mean? Unlike treaties that require joint management of an entire river, the Indus Waters Treaty essentially separated or divorced the river systems. It allocated the 3 eastern rivers, Ravi, Beas and Sutlej, entirely to India, and the 3 western rivers, Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, to Pakistan. This separation is the key reason for its long-term resilience. The treaty also created the Permanent Indus Commission, which mandates regular commissioner meetings. This channel is a vital conflict management mechanism that survived multiple full-scale wars and prolonged diplomatic frictions between India and Pakistan. The Indus Waters Treaty stands as a strong pillar of the multilateral mediation power. It provided a formalized 3-step dispute resolution pattern involving Permanent Indus Commission, neutral experts, and the Court of Arbitration. However, we should keep in mind that the Indus Waters Treaty shouldn't be viewed as a division of waters, as it was the case of division of land during the partition of 1947. But rather as a mode of cooperation on water sharing. At the age of the New World Order settlement, the very idea of division and hostile hegemony, as dangerous and non-perspective as the extreme unification of the ultra-global liberalism. While promoting the unilateral actions and international law violation, Indian policymakers are undermining their authority and title of the reliable and privileged partner within BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Blood and water doesn't flow together, but blood consists of 92% of water. You can't split it. You can only spill it. The Indus Waters Treaty has proved to be an outstanding example of cooperation between Pakistan and India for the whole global community over the past 6 decades. And all the attempts to demolish it due to geopolitical ambitions of India appear to be a highly vicious provocation and stance against fragile stability in the South Asia, which is tightly linked with the whole architecture of security in the Middle East. Being a strategic partner of Israel, India has taken a destructive path towards violent transboundary expansion of its national interest and goals by the means of ultimatums, dictatorship, and warmongering. Increasing Pakistani needs and the continuing building of hydropower dams by India on the western rivers Chenab may further threaten the treaty, which has no exit strategy. Water issue is a core issue between the two countries because, first of all, it is related to the disputed Jammu and Kashmir issue, and secondly, Pakistan is dependent on the single river basin, which its economy, agriculture and energy needs to rely on. The original text of the Indus Waters Treaty lacks adaptive management strategies for emerging global issues such as accelerating climate change, changing hydrological patterns, and population growth. The unilateral actions of India can provoke an erosion of international norms. Unilateral changes threaten fundamental tenets of the customary international law, the principles of equitable and reasonable utilization, and the obligation not to cause significant harm. Powerful nation, or we have decided not to name India a powerful nation, conditionally powerful nations may utilize or bypass legal space to legitimize structural asymmetries, framing water access projects strictly through national security rather than shared responsibility. Undoubtedly, interference with cross-border flows is viewed as a direct threat to survival and economic stability of the affected populations. It can create critical and cause actually humanitarian challenges. Its health and sanitation problem. Upstream pollution or water diversions directly impact the drinking water and sanitation safety of downstream communities. It affects livelihoods and food security of Pakistan. Therefore, all sorts of unilateral actions of India, such as constructing dams or shrinking water supplies, threaten food security and economic stability of Pakistan. The Indus Waters Treaty dispute resolution mechanism undoubtedly should be modernized according to the changing environmental and demographic realities on both sides of the border to bring it move in line with contemporary international water course law that defines the use and conservation of all waters that cross international boundaries, including both surface and ground waters. However, taking into consideration that there is no strong political will from the side of India to make joint management of the Indus Basin possible without weaponization of the issue, there is a need to reassess the very ground from the perspective of Pakistan's rights to protect its national interest, geo-economic, humanitarian sustainability, such as launching an Islamabad Indus Waters Global Forum. I think that this seminar can become a beginning of this process that can help to address to the broader international audience the importance, significance and inevitability of resolving this issue. Definitely, India tries to undermine significant pillars of the security architecture in the region of South Asia. By demolishing Indus Waters Treaty, it wishes to change the geopolitical course in its favor by the hybrid forms of violating geostrategic balance and geoeconomic stability in the South Asia, while creating obstacles and hurdles on the way of Pakistan to become an important regional player. It targets to create multiple red lines for Pakistan in order to prevent its expansion of its presence and influence in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and possible entrance to the BRICS format. Pakistan has all the authorities, all the capacities and a strong political will to show when those red lights start and where they may end, as there is an undeniable stance. Indus waters do not drift backward.